What's up, Picklebrains? Today we're going to be covering the essence of footwork. It's something that's extremely overlooked in pickleball and not enough people pay attention to. The only people that really pay attention to it are high-level players, and so we're going to be breaking down their footwork, what they're doing, and teaching you guys how it can help you to improve your game. We're also going to be covering some pickleball drama, some new drama that just came out, so be sure to stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's ask the audience, what should we start with, the footwork or the drama? Let us know. Comment below. Just imagine. Let's start.
And then wait until next week for the answer.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. See you later.
Later, Picklebrains.
You know what we should do on this podcast is do a live at some point if we have the balls to do it. That'd be pretty fun. That'd be fun to do it on YouTube, like a YouTube live. But anyways, footwork. So we're going to be talking about essentially what foot you should be stepping with first, how you should recover back into the court, and most particularly when you're up on the kitchen line, what you should be doing. Because you hear from the pros all the time that you need to stay relaxed, which is really, really true, and you don't want to be moving your feet too much unless you're James Ignatowicz. He's one of the only ones out there that really takes it to the next level with his footwork. If you don't know who that is, look it up and you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's kind of hard to watch, but he's fun to watch at the same time. So I know that it bugs a lot of people watching him. He actually just barely on his podcast, I don't even know what his podcast is called. It's something with Selkirk, but he talked about how a ton of people are commenting on his posts and just saying, can you just stop doing that? It makes it so hard to watch. And do you know what James's response was? Did you watch that, Spence?
No.
His response was, well, why do you even watch pickleball? Or something along those lines. Why do you even waste your time watching pickleball if you're just going to complain about it type of thing? And I'm like, I don't know if his sponsors will like that too much because they want people to watch. But
that's not a good response. That's pretty bad.
I can see where he's coming from just because, you get frustrated and it's annoying to hear people just hate on you all the time, especially when you're doing something like that. So I can see where he's coming from, but it was funny because Selkirk was the one that actually posted it. James didn't even post this. So Selkirk doesn't give a crap what's going on. They're like, hey, we make 20 plus million a month. We're not worried about people not watching pickleball. The money will still come in. So I don't know. I thought it was funny that he said that. Anyways, footwork, let's talk about it and break it down a little bit. And let's start by talking about a split step. And I'm going to have Spencer break down a split step, when we split step, and then at what point we split step and what exactly a split step is. So I'm passing the torch on to you, Spence.
All right. Put me on the spot. So actually, just the other day, I was drilling a little pickleball with my wife, and it had been no joke, at least 6 months since we've had a drilling session, especially her. And she was relearning things because it had been so long since she was on the court. And one thing she was doing was running through the ball when she was making contact. So, most often it was near the baseline. As she was returning, she was running through it instead of planting her feet, making contact, and then moving forward. So basically a split step, for me personally, is where both feet can land. Let me say one more thing, I guess, to preface this. Pickleball split step can be somewhat different than a tennis split step. Pickleball, you want to be facing forward, and it's more focused on lateral movement, left to right. Lateral movement? Yeah, I think left to right. And so when I split step, typically I'm facing the net, and both my feet are splitting and landing at the same time. And so I have that ability to pause before I make contact with the ball. And this way you can avoid a lot of errors. So what she was doing was running through. Sorry to use you as an example, but she was running through the ball. And so she was continuing to come forward as she was making contact with the ball. And this can cause a lot more errors. This can be very inconsistent, but if you can split step first, be still, make contact, and then move forward, you'll see your consistency shoot way up. So that's my version of a split step, specifically a pickleball split step.
Hey, I have a question for you. This is random, but it has to do with what you talked about, so maybe not too random. Does Whitney watch the pod?
I don't think she has for a while. Like, she was doing really good and she's still super supportive of it. She gives me time to do this, but I don't think she's listening and watching as often as she should. And how about Hattie? Hattie is Austin's wife.
Hattie has officially made it through 0 episodes. She has, she's watched a couple of intros, but that's about it. Hattie's just pretty anti-pickleball, guys. So she needs
big on tennis, not so big on pickleball, but she's good at pickleball. So,
which is funny. I was talking to her tonight, and I was like, "What do you think about your husband being a full-time pickler, like a full-time pickleball content creator? Did you ever think you'd marry a full-time pickleball content creator? Just like the most random thing." She's like, "Nope, never thought of that."
And then she handed you divorce papers.
Yeah. She actually said it's kind of scary. I'm like, wait, why? She's like, just because you never know what's going to happen. And I'm just like, yeah, you don't know what's going to happen with any job. But
yeah, that's for sure.
She's supportive in other ways. She lets me do the podcast, but she's not about to watch it. She's not interested in this stuff at all. But she lets me babble about it, so that's nice. Anyways, yes, split step. So split step number 1 to everything. You want to stop yourself, because if you don't stop yourself, and like Spencer was saying, you run through the shot, you're not going to be as accurate. And so what that split step is doing is, scientifically, I think is the best way to put it, when you stop yourself, your reaction time is quicker, which kind of might not make a lot of sense to people. But think about if you're running in a full-on sprint forward towards the net and you don't stop and the people hit it to the side of you, you're now going to have to stop yourself, and you're going to be late to then move to the side to get that ball that went behind you. Whereas if you stop yourself, you can then easily get to that ball that goes to the side of you or behind you. Also, split stepping slows your, I don't know how to describe it, but your eyes, when you're moving, have a harder time focusing. And when you split step, you're stopping your body as well as your head. And so it helps your eyes to focus, and you'll shank the ball a whole lot less. You'll hit it a lot more accurately with that split step. So essentially, you're splitting your feet apart, about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit larger, whatever's most comfortable for you to where you're on balance, stopping your momentum, and then you can shoot off to the ball. It's going to help you to be able to react to wherever the ball is going to be. So a lot of people know what a split step is. A lot of people don't. So hopefully for those of you that didn't, that helped to describe it better. I know we're not showing you guys and just talking about it on the podcast, but hopefully you can grasp that. So that's step number 1.
Before you go on to step number 2, that is a really good point that you make, is it can definitely improve your overall hand-eye coordination. They call it hand-eye for a reason. If you think about if you're running across the court and you're watching the ball land and you can't tell whether or not it's on the line, most of the time, it might be a close call, but most of the time that's because your eyes are not able to focus because you're moving as well. But if you're a line judge and you're standing against the line and you're sitting there looking in that spot and you're able to see if that ball is in or out. So same concept. This is going to improve your hand and eye coordination just by stopping. I like the way that you explained it a lot, like with a sprinter, just by stopping before you make contact with the ball. It'll allow you to see it and to make better contact with the ball. Okay, go ahead to number 2.
Yeah, thanks for reemphasizing that. I like it. So number 2 is when we actually go towards the ball. And there's an art to doing this. You don't have to do this 100% of the time, but the goal is to step with your outside leg first. A lot of people will actually cross step. So they'll step with their inside leg and cross it over their outside leg for that first step, turning themselves away from the court. This is fine to do when you're on the baseline and you're sprinting towards a ball. That's fine to do but it's not the best technique to do. When you're up at the kitchen, you especially want to continue facing your opponents and step with your outside leg. So you're going to be pushing off of your inside leg to first step with your outside leg. And the way that it goes is you're going to pivot. Let me just read this because I wrote it down. It's a 3-step process. So you're landing after your split step, and then you're shifting or pivoting, and then you're pushing. And you're pushing with your inside leg and stepping with your outside leg for that first step. And then you bring your inside leg to your outside leg. You're not crossing it.
Explain, because for some, they're going to be confused. Explain what the inside leg is and what the outside leg is. Because we all know we have 2 legs. They both appear to be outside or both appear to be inside, depending on how we look at them. But what are you referring to there?
So for those of you that don't speak English out there, this is what I'm referring to. I'm just playing. No, I can see how that's confusing. So your inside leg is the leg that's closest to the center line of the court. Your outside leg is going to be closest to the side fence or closest to the sideline of the court that you're closest to.
Perfect.
So outside leg is closest to the net post that you're closest to. Inside leg's closest to the center line. So you're pushing off your inside leg, landing on your outside leg for your first step. Second step is taking that inside leg to your outside leg. Okay? So you're kind of just doing like a shuffle. So first step out, pushing off the inside leg. First step out. Second step in towards the leg, and then out again. You're continuously facing towards your opponents. Now, where this doesn't apply is, first of all, the baseline a lot of the time. That initial step, you still want it to be your outside leg. But after that, if you're sprinting towards a ball, you're going to be turning your body and then just running like a normal sprint. So you're going to cross your legs. But when you're up at the kitchen, majority of the time, you're just going to be stepping with your outside leg, bringing your inside leg into it, and then stepping with your outside leg again. If you can't get to the ball and you're in a complete scramble, they've hit it way out wide. You first step with that outside leg, and this has to be practiced, by the way, because I'm not perfect at it either. You step with your outside leg, and then you can overstep or cross over your outside leg with your inside leg if the ball is way out there. But for the most part, you want to keep an open stance. So if you watch the pros, you'll notice that a lot of them do this. They especially do it on the forehand side. A lot of them aren't the best at it on their backhand side. They'll cross over a lot more, even at the pro level. I think that'll change as time goes on and as pickleball continues to grow. But the ones with the best footwork, who I think of is like Jack Sock, Colin Schick, Federico Stackshrew, Ben Johns, they're all stepping with that outside leg first. And they have the best, most smoothest looking footwork. And they can cover a whole lot of court. I'm sure there's others, but those are just who immediately come to mind on the men's side. So that's the second step. Make sure that you're pivoting or shifting as well. So remember, we come back down off of our split step, pivot our feet, twist them, and then we're stepping with the outside leg, pushing off of the inside leg for that initial. Does that make sense, Spencer?
Yes, and let me explain a couple reasons why we want to do this. First, why we don't want to cross our feet, especially when we're near the non-volley zone line. I think the first and most obvious reason is when we're crossing our feet, we have a higher chance of tripping over ourselves, whether that causes injury or just causes us to not get to the ball. Either way, that can be bad. And then another reason is to be more efficient. If we're shuffling from side to side, I mean, that ball is always coming so fast if you're attacked right there. We only have 14 feet of difference or less if we're directly across from each other, or if we're being attacked on an angle, it's still coming real fast. And so if we're, like you said, shuffling our feet instead of crossing our feet, we can still be in a position to be able to counter that ball more efficiently if we're not crossing our feet, not turning our body, not turning our heads to the side if we're trying to stay forward. So I would say it's efficiency and then speed And also, you're not going to get as many injuries if you can avoid crossing your feet. But what I hadn't heard before is outside foot first. And now I kind of want to watch video of myself to see what I do, because I think I will need to change that up a little bit, and change my footing so I'm focused on outside foot first, because that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, get ready for an experience. You're going to hate yourself after. So I do the same thing like 50% of the time. I still cross whenever I'm hitting a backhand is where it's tough for me. I have to practice my footwork, but I'll cross with my right leg first. It just feels so much more comfortable to do that in a lot of situations. And it's not helping me because my backhand side's a whole lot weaker. But if I can get the right footwork, everything else works itself out. Andy Roddick, in a recent podcast, I don't know if any of you listened to his podcast. It's obviously a tennis podcast. But he talked about how when he was in the juniors, a really good coach came up to him and he was kind of asking him to like analyze his game. How are things going? And he said, you have the strokes of a top 10 tennis player. Like you could make it to the top 10 with your strokes, but you have the footwork of like a top 200 tennis player. He said your footwork's not there. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting. So he said, since that's not there, you can't make it to top 10. And then he really worked on his footwork. He made it to number 1 in the world. So a really, really good tennis player. And he talked about warming up prior to playing matches or prior to playing rec games. What he would say is that's a free opportunity to really warm up your footwork. If you warm up your footwork, everything else is going to work out. It's the legs that take the longest to get there. And you won't shake the ball. You won't shank the ball as much. You're going to be a lot more consistent in your contacting if you can just focus on your footwork. So don't use your warm-up time, your quick little warm-up time, to just have a chat with your opponent or have a chat with your partner the entire time and just practice your dinks and practice on making good contact. Focus on your legs, focus on stepping with that outside foot, and then you're going to go into the match and play some of the best pickleball you've ever played just because your feet are there with you as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and it makes a lot of sense if you focus on your footwork. That's when you play an early morning game, legs and body aren't quite awake yet, and it takes a lot longer to start playing good. It takes like 3-4 games before you're playing good, and that really just comes down to your feet not being there with you.
Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna try it. There's one thing that I didn't like about that. You guys have to forgive Austin. He lived in England for a little while, and in America, we do not say have a chat with someone.
You don't?
We say maybe have a conversation or chat with somebody, but never have a chat. So just forgive Austin. He apologizes already. He'll try not to say that again.
Have a bit of a chat, perhaps.
Oh, even worse. Wow. And then you can take us. And then you can take us to university.
That's what I was just going to say.
Hospital.
Hospital. They don't say the in a lot of stuff. Yeah. Take us to the hospital. Nope. Take us to hospital. I did not come back with any accent, which was pretty sad. I still have a Utah twang. But coming back, I was there for 2 years, came back, and everybody here, weirdest accent ever. Like everybody was sounding, especially my sisters. I have 3 sisters, and Austin, it's so good to see you. And I was like, my ears are bleeding. I can't handle this. You guys gotta pick a different accent. But.
Yeah, that reminds me of "Ow Now Brown Cow."
What's that from?
Anchorman.
That's what it's from. I just watched the Tom Brady roast. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to watch it. But.
You'll feel like a horrible person afterwards because it's pretty vile. But wow, it was funny. I'm going to hell because of it, but it was funny. So
no, I'll have to try it. That'll be funny.
Bad influence.
Number 3.
Number 3 is the karaoke step. Okay. Have you ever heard of that, Spencer?
No. Say it one more time. I didn't even hear what you said.
Karaoke step.
Okay.
So this is how we get back. So we always want to get back to our ready position. It's the karaoke step. A lot of people will say karaoke, and I've been guilty of this in the past because that's what I thought it was called. It's actually the karaoke step, and essentially that just means that you're crossing your legs. So you're then getting back into the court. You're going to cross your outside leg over your inside leg, that initial step. And the reason that you want to do that is because you're going to be facing towards the net by doing that. Whereas
when do we do this?
This is when you're coming back after. So you've stepped out, you hit the ball, and now your first step is going to be a cross. Doesn't have to be 100% of the time, but if you have good footwork, it's going to be about 80 to 90% of the time. That initial step is going to be a karaoke step. You're crossing your, I almost said non-dominant. You're crossing your outside leg over your inside leg this time. First step, and then you're shifting back to a good wide stance ready position. Ready, hovering over the kitchen, and now you're in a good spot. I got to plug my phone in, so just keep telling them about that for just a second.
Yeah, so karaoke, not to be confused with karaoke. I don't know the difference myself. Austin will explain that to us. But yeah, I immediately thought of karaoke and singing. But while he's fixing that, I did watch a video. I apologize because I don't remember. I actually follow this guy, and I can't think of what his name is or what the name of his account is, but he produces some funny content. I'll try to bring it for you next week. But one thing that he did was eat one of the world's hottest chips. For anyone that hasn't seen that, it just comes with one chip in a bag, and I think it's pretty expensive. I think it's like $40. Maybe it's less than that. They're kind of hard to find. But that chip, he ate it, and then he proceeded to sing karaoke, and it's one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. He's in so much pain. He's crying. His nose is running. He's trying to pound water and trying to sing at the same time. So next week I'll share that video so that you guys, or maybe I'll try to include it in the link if I remember. But
I came karaoke. I came in really late to that. I heard he was trying to pound water and sing at the same time.
Yeah, I was just sharing something that I saw recently that was hilarious. So you know the one chip challenge?
No, what's that?
So it's the world's hottest chip. And so one chip challenge is, you purchase this chip and you eat it. That's the challenge itself, even just consuming the chip. Like, people are crying and in so much pain because of how hot it is. But this guy tried to sing karaoke after doing the one chip challenge, and it was hilarious. So I'll try to include the...
And he's drinking water. That makes sense why he's drinking water then. That's funny.
But anyway, you said karaoke, so I brought it to karaoke, but now we're back to karaoke, which is bring your outside foot cross over first as you're making your way back in.
Yeah. And for you doubters out there that are maybe like, what? Like, are you sure that's what you do instead of just shuffling back, bringing your legs together? I'm 100% sure. Go watch any of the pros. Those pros that I mentioned with really good footwork, Federico Stacksrud, Jack Sock, Colin Schick especially. He covers more court than just about anybody. You'll see that they cross on their way back when they're up at the kitchen. This is most especially in doubles because when you're in singles, you have to cover so much more court. That initial step will probably be that, but then after that, it's a full-on sprint to get to the ball. But that will help you to face back towards the court because you're bringing your outside inwards, and you're also covering more court by crossing your foot. So then it begs the question, why wouldn't you just initially cross your foot? What would you say if you have any idea, Spencer? Why wouldn't you, when you're going out for the ball, karaoke step and cross your feet over?
I don't know. To me, you wouldn't get there as fast. I know you take the risk of kind of tripping when you cross your feet because you're supposed to staying forward. But to me, like you explained on the original, it seems like it would be faster to go outside foot first and give your inside foot room to move over.
Yeah. So there's the first reason, it's faster. The second reason is you're facing away from the court. If you step outside and turn your body in karaoke step, so you're cross-stepping, you're facing away from the court. But to come back into the court, if you karaoke step, on the other hand, you're now facing towards wherever you just hit the ball. You're facing towards the net, even though your body might be slightly sideways. You're going to cover more court at the same time.
Okay.
With that initial step back. So yeah, it's faster stepping with that outside leg initially, but plus you're facing your opponents the whole time, which is the most important thing because that ball is going to come back quick. So wherever you can face them is going to be the correct position. Sure, there's tons of other reasons. I'm not 100% an expert on footwork, that's for sure. If you guys watched my footwork, you'd be like, what's this guy talking about? But I think that it's really, really pivotal and just interesting, so I wanted to talk about it. That's it for footwork for me. Is there anything else that you want to talk about with footwork before we move on to the...
So you're definitely high level and you're definitely successful in pickleball. So I'm going to give these things a try. I would encourage all the viewers to do the same because they're great. I do want to bring up one last thing. Hopefully you haven't heard this a million times yet on other podcasts, but it's kind of insane. Oz, have you heard about Andre Daescu?
That's the drama, man.
Okay. And it is Daescu. For anyone that's wondering, that is how it's pronounced. A lot of people say Daescu. It's not. It is Daescu, so don't try to correct me on that. I've asked him personally.
Hey, Andre doesn't even deserve us to pronounce his name correctly after what he did.
Yeah. So let me explain what happened, and then we can talk about if the repercussions are valid. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for.
Wait, before you do that, one funny thing from a past episode, I think about it often. Yeah. I never mentioned it in the episode. I only noticed it after, listening to it after. We had Federico Stackshrew on the pod, and Spencer's like, you play with... Because Spencer speaks Spanish, for those of you that don't know. So he knows how to pronounce any of the Spanish players' names that speak Spanish. Mm-hmm. But he was like talking to Federico. By the way, Stackshrew, is that Spanish? Like what? What is that?
Yeah. He's from Argentina. So it is, yes. But it's not pronounced Stacksrud.
What is it?
But yes, it is. It's an Argentinian name, but it is the Spanish language.
Anyways, as you guys know, he plays with Pablo Tellez, and Spencer said Spencer said your doubles partner Pablo Tellez, like how it's pronounced. And the funniest thing ever happened afterwards. I didn't notice it in the actual video, but Federico is like, no, I didn't notice it while I was there. I just have to preface that. I noticed it after watching. Yeah. Federico's like, yeah, Tellez. Like Federico said Tellez, which just cracked me up. I was like, Spencer's coming in here like, hey, bro, I know Spanish. Like, let's speak together. And you said some words to him, and then you said Tellez. And then he comes like Federico, who speaks Spanish like all the time, is just like, yeah, Tellez. He just doesn't even care at all.
Yeah, he didn't care. That's funny. I didn't put that together.
That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
you guys want to go watch that? That's like episode 2, probably.
Yeah, that was a ways back.
We haven't had a pro on in a while.
Back on. We need to have pros back on in general. I'll reach out to some and see if we can have him back on. But anyway, so Andre Daescu. Dude has had so much success recently, winning everything in APP, winning a bunch of MLP stuff, winning PPA golds.
Yeah, good point.
He winning PPA silvers recently, like an insane amount of success lately. And why on earth would he do this? I have no idea. The rumor is that he put pine tar, which is typically used illegally in baseball, to add grip to his paddle. His excuse was he didn't use the paddle that they found pine tar on, but I have no idea. If you're having so much success, why would you risk all of that and try to put that illegal substance on your paddle? So I guess there's two sides to this, because one, is it illegal? Did someone say that cannot be on there? And number two is, now they're saying it can't be on there. They're fining him $50,000 and he can't play PPA or MLP for 60 days, I think it was. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Oz. I personally think That was such a stupid move on his end. Regardless of whether or not there's an actual rule that says you cannot put pine tar on your paddle, that is so dumb. Why on earth would you do that when you're having so much success without it? It makes no sense to me. I personally do not care what fine they give him. Like, to me, cool. Give him the fines. He deserves to be chastised. He deserves to have some form of punishment because that was such a dumb decision. Anyway, what's your take?
I just wish I had more information. Like, all the stuff that I read just said an illegal substance, so I didn't know it was pine tar.
That's just the rumor that I'm seeing all over Twitter. Again, rumor. Okay. I'm using the word rumor, but
because they say illegal substance, what is an illegal substance? When I hear illegal substance, obviously in reference to a paddle, I am thinking like hairspray or pine tar or some type of glue he's putting on there to get more spin. But you hear illegal substance and you think like he's got some coke on his paddle. Okay, he was snorting coke before the match or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. You can think about it that way too. And we also don't know if this was on the face of the paddle, or if this was on the grip itself, or if it was on both. I don't think that information has been released either.
I mean, how do they find that on there? It's not like they have microscopes or something and they're like, yes, that is pine tar. Like,
I don't know. I mean, it could have just been sticky as hell. The guy's doing the guy that, whoever that guy is, whoever has that job, and he's sitting there testing all the paddles and he's passing them through, and then this one, he like can't get it out of his hand because it's stuck to it. So he's like,
that'd be so funny.
Something on here.
They're in like a train like line. And they're just passing one to the next. All of a sudden, just trying to unstick it. Can't do it. That is funny. Let's continue making like stuff up in our minds.
He can't get it off.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. That's funny. Yeah, so $50,000, man. What? That's more of a fine than you'd get in basketball if you did something. Basketball's like
that's what it would seem like.
Basketball's like $15,000 if you flip someone off.
Slightly more intense.
Yeah.
But 50,000 seems like a lot of money for pro pickleball.
They're proving a point, that's for sure. They're like, hey,
they're making an example out of them.
You do this again, it's going to be more. So just be ready for that. Yeah. 50,000. I don't know how much Andre's making, but he's got to be making at least 300,000. He's probably making quite a bit more a year. That's a big chunk of his paycheck.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's funny. I just
stupid.
It makes me wonder why he did it. Maybe he was just messing around. Like, hey, I wonder what this is like. I don't know. I think we'll hear the story from Andre, but for the time being, I think he's going to be silent for the next 60, 70 days, and then we'll finally hear from him. Just because of legal stuff. So far, he's been
silent. So.
Yeah, he's been silent so far. So I bet he'll continue that silence until a lawyer says that he can say something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
I'd be interested to see crazy. What the viewers think. So go ahead and comment below and let us know if you think the punishment is too high, if you think the decision is stupid, if you think it's not a big deal. I'd be interested to see, maybe we can do a poll or something and see what people think. But in my opinion, wow, was that a dumb decision? So I guess he deserves everything that's thrown at him, personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just depends on what he was doing with it. I don't know if he was just testing it out for fun and then submitted the wrong paddle or just put that through. Who knows? Like, I guess if you put a paddle through, you would know if it had pine tar on it, I think. But
right. Yeah, most definitely.
Because when they get their paddle approved, they put some type of like silver circle where it says USAPA when they get it approved after the testing. For just pros, they get some type of circle on it. Have you seen that?
Well, it's a little sticker, right?
Yeah. So I figure, can't they just take that off and put it on another paddle? I have to ask a pro, but I don't know.
I haven't even thought about that.
I feel like they have to be able to take it off because it comes off. in between tournaments. So I don't know. That'd be probably the move instead of, if you were to cheat, just take it off and put it on. But I don't know what that is. All I know is all their paddles have that. So
yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm going to ask somebody.
There was another thing with Drama, but I can't remember it. But that was definitely the most shocking info. So I was glad that you mentioned it and had heard about it and had more information than even I did. I had no idea the rumors about pine tar. So, but that makes sense. That's what I'd assume. But why are they saying illegal substance when there's no illegal substance listed?
Right.
Nothing's listed. So who knows?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll, maybe we'll have some additional information next week, but that's all I have on that for this week. But what everybody should get out of the pod this week is footwork. It is so important. I know that we use our hands a ton to play, and we use our eyes a ton to play, but our feet allow us to use our hands and our eyes to the best of our ability. So get working on that footwork. Anything else, Oz?
Yeah, just one more thing with that is I heard this from someone, and I'm not sure who, but it was pretty mind-blowing for me, and something that really changed my game is they said just move your feet and then your arms will take care of themselves. I don't know if I've mentioned that in the pod before, but if you move your feet and you have good footwork, your arms will take care of themselves. Obviously, you have to have good technique and things like that. That's also extremely important, just like how we were talking about with Andy Roddick. But footwork comes first. You get your feet there, everything else will take care of itself. If you're late getting there because you have sloppy footwork, you're going to shank the ball, you're going to miss hit. So just focus on your feet getting to the ball the proper way, and then your arms will take care of themselves. So hope that you guys enjoyed this pod. Be sure to comment below, like how Spencer was saying, your opinion on the pine tar or whatever it might be. We'd be interested to see what you guys think about the fine. And we'll see you on the next one.
Later.